making a statement that all we want from everybody is Islam. You can go on and teach us your little cultural stuff, but we're not going to take that cultural stuff. Why? Because we had enough to study what Islam is. So anything that was there that was a little cultural thing, we could take it or leave it because it's cultural. Oh, we do it this way, that's fine. In Indonesia, they do it that way. They got Muslims from the same place that hate each other for one reason. In Indonesia, they got one group of Muslims eat dogs. You know, dogs. You know, like Vietnamese. You ever go in a Vietnamese community and see dogs? No. They knock them boys over because they eat them boys. You like them to a pet. You go to Vietnamese neighborhood, see if they got some pet dogs. And they'll knock their neighbor over too. Boy, that's how they help their dog down, look at it. They'll eat that boy. They got another group of brothers from Indonesia. They hate the other group because they don't eat dog. The Quran don't say, the Hadith don't say don't eat dog. It just said it don't get the saliva and right? But it don't, and they go by that. They said, hey, it ain't nothing haram about eating a dog. But dog is tasty. They're tasty to them. But one group hate the other because the other one eat dog. And I was at the university and I was saying, well, what about so-and-so? The guy said, they eat dog. It was like, this is the worst thing. They hate each other. Everything else they do is the same. And I found Muslims like that all over the world. From Pakistan and South Africa, everywhere. They got Deobandis, they got Brevis, they got all kind of, they got Sunnis and Shia, they got all kind of groups. And I don't know if y'all ever seen Jamaat al-Tabligh. They go around, you know, and they do little stuff. They're apolitical. They can go anywhere in the world. They can go into Russia. They can, because they're not political. They're not going to say nothing political. And they just don't do that. And the whole crew, we trying to get them involved in politics, and they refuse. So we say, hey, okay, so y'all don't get involved in politics. But one thing they do is, just to revert back a little bit, they have hadith, you know. And I'll get back to the point. But his Jamaat al-Tabligh is so serious. They have some way out hadith. And the hadith, you can find them, but they're weak hadith. They're weak. One hadith, one guy was killed in one of the battles. This was during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And they cut off his arm. They stuck his arm back on. And he killed 10,000 people. I said, only thing about that, homeboy, it wasn't no battles where they killed no 10,000 people during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So I don't want to hear no more of that stuff. But they would, that's their culture. So they would teach that. You know the miswak, the toothbrush, someplace up in Khorasan, I don't know where it was. The believers was fighting the non-believers, and then before they've shown you how important miswak is, they said that the Muslims took out their miswak and started brushing their teeth, and the non-believers threw down their stuff and ran, because he said they're sharpening their teeth, they're shayateen, they're sharpening their teeth, and they're going to come and eat us up. And I'm telling you, because at first this stuff be getting to you. I'm sitting there, I said, stop in the masjid. I said, I Sahih Bukhari. Every hadith, I ain't never heard none of that stuff. I mean, I was serious about it. I don't want no more of that stuff in here. You know, this is the Masjid. But that's their culture. That's why we told everybody, we want Islam. We don't want Iranianism. We don't want Pakistaniism. We don't want Indianism. We don't want none of those. Because all of them pick up the parts of their culture. If you go to a program, I went to a Kabbalah type thing. It's in South Africa. Of course, everybody's Indian. And they wanted me to speak about, they gave me the booklet on that great shape today. So I talked, I don't know if I'll show y'all some of the pictures. You know when you go to Hawaii and you get all the flowers on you? They garland you down. Why? Because of Hindu culture and all of that. That's what they do there. When you get married, you might as well get ready in Pakistan to just sit down in a big boat full of flowers. That's what they do, right? It's not technically, Islamically, it's not haram, but that's what they do, their culture, you know? So the point I'm making is that we made that point years ago. We don't want your culture, we like it. But now in the culture, we're gonna pull what we like out of it, you know what I mean? That's why I was making the point about Negro eggs, Libyan eggs, Iranian eggs, and we said, those are good, like those. But let's stir it up with the Negro thing. So we got bell peppers, onions, tomatoes, and our special secret sauce, and mix it all together. Now it's do you have it? That's the Iranian sisters were saying, brother, how do you make those eggs? I could have told them, well, y'all almost make pretty close to that already. Just these 2-3 little things and you'll be off and rolling. Oh, okay, thank you, Tashakun. Anyway, let's get back to the story where we are now. Like I say, this is Javad Larijani. He was in Berkeley. This is Hossein Nadari. He was in Berkeley. Javad used to come to our masjid, you know, and Hossein Nadari was an active Iranian. Over at the Daftar, they told me a few years back, Hossein he done went bad. I said, what happened? He said, well, he's with Ahmadinejad. And since Ahmadinejad went off, which Ahmadinejad ain't went off nowhere. The point is, those little cliques go against the unity and harmony of the movement. Because if you're going to have real freedom of belief and all of that, that means if we all start out together, you have to realize that some of us are going to be very stiff on some parts of the economy. Some of us are going to be kind of liberal on our Islam, we'll fast and we'll do that stuff, you know, and we'll do it seriously. But we're not going to explode, you know what I mean, if one of the brothers is not, they pray every now and then, and they just, right? That's the way people are. Okay? You know the article that Muhammad Al-Asi wrote last week? Well, not last week, last month. He talked about some of the political, and he was talking about the regrowth of anti-Vilayati Faqih. The people that were not for Vilayati Faqih. Okay, now, the fat cats, and I know them well. I know them well. I mean, One of the fat cats that we all know, you see him every day, you think he was going to run for president of the United States. He was so popular here. So he says, one of the times when, because he would be in charge of inviting me. Remember, they would invite, I was invited to all of the program. I was the main speaker in the United States. Not Muhammad Al-Assi. Muhammad Al-Assi would come to programs if you invite him, and he'll fly there. He'd fly there. But he didn't participate in the format of the program. So, for instance, in '86, I remember that I took I went on a program all across the United States. When I left California, I went to Southern Route. And then I came up this coast. And then I went up to Canada, came back down to the U.S., and I went across the top of the U.S., you know, Highway 70 and 80. And when I got back to the California, that's when they started free miles, unlimited miles on rental cars. And when I got back, the guy checking the car in, it was all nice and everything. He said, 10,000 miles. I said, yeah, 10,000 miles. Free mileage. Unlimited mileage. 10,000 miles. I said, yeah, unlimited mileage. You know, free mileage, basically. You know. But in that month, I had went all across the bottom of the United States. When I say bottom, that means Highway 10, Highway 20 in Texas, maybe zipping up to 40 and then back down. And in that trip, when I got to the south, I could see about half the people was black, you know. Then I came up the coast, and you can imagine, when I got to D.C., the whole thing was black. Then I got a shot. I went to Wilmington and Delaware, going up Highway 1, not 95. I would have missed it all. When I came up this coast, I drove 1 all the way up. So that means I drove through all the cities. So I got here, I just regular 1, that go all over, you know. And then I hung out in D.C. a while. I said, man, there's a lot of black people in D.C. But that wasn't a real shock. When I got to Delaware, it was just a state, you know, one of the early states, and I thought Delaware is just the smallest state is Delaware, you know. I got to Delaware, and I saw all them black people. I said, goodness gracious alive. Then the super shock was not New York, it was Philadelphia. And I hit Germantown Avenue, and I saw just black people. Now remember, in California, there's a black neighborhood, but it's a little sprinkle of this, a little sprinkle of that. It's not solid black, it's just a black community. That's it, finished. But over here, they were solid black. Just like if you came to the Southeast 20, 30 years ago, when we came out here, a little kid would never see a white person. It was solid black. And then I remembered all the statistics about it was 22 million. I said 22 million black people. I done seen that many with my own eyes. So somebody's lying to us. You know, it was helpful because I got to see, you know, and then guess what? Connecticut. Only thing I ever heard about Connecticut was Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, something, literature or something. And I saw all them Negroes, and I gave a lecture, must have been at Harvard. And this was what I saw at Harvard. Negroes was right in the smack middle of the Negro neighborhood. And the other thing was dope paraphernalia. I could find heroin needles and everything right there on the ground. It hurt. I said, boy, this is, but I'm just trying to tell you about what you would learn just by driving and giving speeches. So we would participate. We was different than just Muhammad Ali. He'll get on that plane and he'll fly to meetings all over the world. But I always drove to meetings. Like the annual meeting we just went through over there. Well, we was there right here, but I drive to all those. I drive to literally all of them. Because I used to take books, and plus you get involved. One of the best Malcolm X programs I had was with Iranian brothers. It was all right there. It was Manhattan, Kansas, it was Lawrence, Kansas. They would always be around universities. And these Iranian brothers they was going to black barber shops. They was just doing dawah. And black people was asking, what y'all doing having a Malcolm X program? And then they would run it down, and the Negro would be impressed. I said, boy, I know more about Malcolm X than I do. Because the Iranians were told in the first part, go with the mustadafin, that's the poor. Istada is the weak, those are daif, the weak hadith. Mustadafin are the people who would be classified as weak and unorganized and oppressed. That's what it means, oppressed. So, when we went around, we would hang around all of those people and we would help the programs. See, we came to a university, the Iranians was cold with me. They'd invite me to Louisiana, to New Orleans to do a program. And I said, yeah, sure. And then I'd get with them. And I'd go around and help, put up flyers and everything. And then I would get a chance to meet all the Muslims. In New Orleans, they had a group of brothers that was with Imam Jamil. So I would see where they was coming from. Everywhere I go, first thing I would check out is the Negroes. Because by traveling all over the country, they gave me a first front seat view of the Islamic movement in America. Because I met everybody, and I was constantly doing it. Now, in those days, of course, let's say we put our masjid and our activities on an equal foot. I would say it was about equal with Iranian activities or Islamic Republic activities and our activities. So sometimes when we leave Oakland, we might close the masjid for weeks. When we opened it back up, you'd have to air it out sometime. That's in the early years. So anyway, as we got around and we got to get in the field for everybody, we realized that, just like I said, if you speak a word to the right, Qawlan Sadidan, Allah will forgive you your sins. Right? And basically, it will arrange your conduct so that it's better, right? And for any sins that may come, you're prepared to submit to Allah and pray to Allah. So Allah is prepared from the tawbah. You turn to Allah. There's two types of tawbah. When you turn to Allah and when Allah turns to you. A lot of people think it's just one type. No, it's both. Because it just means to turn to. Tawbah means you turn to Allah and Allah turn toward you. Not that Allah is in any fixed place where Allah need to turn to anybody, but this psychologically is the way it's put. So anyway, we read this part on independence and freedom, and the way it talks is you're free A free person is free under all conditions. Now I'm going to get back to Iran and Iranian independence. Iran is independent because nobody helped it during the war. And nobody helped it join any Iranian team. Saudi Arabia controlled most of the wealth. So in the earlier days, we had some Iranian cooperation with various books and literature to try to slow that anti-Iranian or anti-Shia remember, this Salafi stuff comes from Saudi Arabia. They've been teaching that to everybody. They have ruined the minds of the Muslims. They have did a serious job, and then they label and they brand everybody that don't think exactly like them as Shias. So that's Shias. So therefore you don't have to pay no attention to them. Everybody would say this is bad, but what it produced was independence. That's why Iran is independent right now. And America that cut it off. Can you imagine? America is so mean that they're having a global fitna, a global pandemic. And the U.S. doesn't have enough kindness and enough mercy to say, hey, we're gonna pull this off for a few months till y'all get yourself together. Zarif calls it environmental genocide. That's what they call it. Not only them, everybody else is calling it. Because you know who's asking for them to release, to slow down on that? Everybody in the world is saying, man, that's ridiculous. Do the U.S. fall back? No. Is this bad? It's not. It's bad in a way, but it's good because it shows the people who the United States of America is. And you got to remember, which way is the wind blowing in the world today? Is it blowing in America's direction? What's the purpose for this thing? All this global imbalance and the freeze is on the world. This has never happened. It wasn't even possible a couple hundred years ago. To have a global freeze, that everybody is froze. Don't go out, don't go nowhere. They always had regional epidemics and pandemics in their region. They had bubonic plague over here. They had quarantine over there. In fact, quarantine is an Arab, is a